My name is Allison. I am 27 years old. I live alone in a small house. My life is simple and quiet. I work from home. I make websites for small companies. I needed more money, so I decided to rent out my guest room. One day, I got a message from a website. A man named Peter Collins wanted to rent my guest room for 1 week. His online page looked good. He wrote that he was coming for work. He needed a place to stay. I agreed to his request. He sent the money very fast. Everything seemed normal. I waited for him to arrive. This was a good way to earn extra money. It would make the house feel less empty. On Tuesday evening, he came to my house. He was a tall man. He carried a small suitcase. He said, "Thank you for letting me stay." I opened the door for him. He walked inside. I showed him his room, and he liked it. From that night, the man named Peter lived in my house. I went to bed feeling good. I had a new guest and some extra money. I believed everything was fine. The first 2 days with the guest were nice. He woke up early each morning. He was a very quiet man, but he was always kind and polite. Peter told me he was a writer. He said he was working on a new book and needed a quiet place to think. I felt I could trust him. However, I began to notice strange things. For example, his phone would sometimes ring, but he never answered it, not once. He would just let it ring until it stopped. Also, his laptop was always closed. When I walked into the living room, it was always shut. One night, I could not sleep. It was very late, maybe 2 o'clock in the morning. I went to the kitchen for some water. As I passed the living room window, I saw him. He was standing in the garden. He was looking out at the street. It looked like he was waiting for someone. I felt confused. When I asked him about it later, he just said, "I like the night air." I did not ask any more questions, but his eyes made me feel uneasy. He was a very strange guest. On the 3rd day, I was in my room, working on my computer. Suddenly, my phone rang. It was an unknown number. I felt surprised. I usually did not get calls from unknown numbers. I took a deep breath and answered. A man's voice said, "Hello, this is Peter Collins." I could not believe what I heard. "Sorry?" I asked. I thought I must have heard wrong. The man on the phone spoke again. He said, "I am calling about the room I rented. I will arrive next week. I just wanted to confirm the address for my stay." I froze. My hands started shaking. I could hear a sound from the kitchen. It was the man who was already in my house. I whispered into the phone, "You said your name is Peter Collins?" The man on the phone said, "Yes, that's me. Is everything okay?" I could not answer him. My mind was racing. The man in my kitchen was not Peter Collins. The real Peter Collins was on the phone, talking about coming next week. This meant the man in my house was someone else. He was not who he said he was. He had lied. He was a stranger. Who was he? Why was he here? What did he want? My heart began to beat fast. I was alone with a man whose name I did not know. I was scared, but I had to be careful. I decided to ask him about himself. "Peter," I said, "where did you say you were from?" He looked at me and said, "You don't remember?" My throat felt dry. I said, "Just remind me." He said, "I think you already know." He knew. He knew that I knew he was not Peter. "Oh, right," I said quickly. "My memory is bad." I stood up from the table. "I'm tired," I said. "Good night." I did not look at him again. I walked quickly to my bedroom. I closed my bedroom door and turned the lock. I was not safe. The man was a stranger, and he was not afraid. I felt alone. I had to leave the house. I opened my door slowly. I walked toward the front door. Then a voice came from behind me. "Going somewhere, Allison?" I turned around fast. He was standing in the living room. "I just need to go to the store," I said. I hoped he would believe me. He walked towards me. He said, "You already know, don't you? You know I am not Peter." My heart stopped. I could not breathe. "Who are you?" I said. He smiled and said, "I am not here to hurt you, Allison, but I need you to listen to me." I did not listen. I did not want to hear anything more. I pushed him with all my strength. He stepped back a little. Near the door, on a small table, there was a metal lamp. I grabbed it, lifted it, and hit him. He cried and fell to the ground. I did not wait. I pulled the door open and ran outside my house. I began to scream for help. I was crying and shaking. My neighbors came outside. They quickly called the police. Soon, police cars arrived. 2 officers came to me and asked what had happened. I told them about the stranger in my home. They listened carefully, then went inside my house to search for him. After some time, the officers came out. They told me the man was gone. Not only him, but all his things were gone too. His suitcase, his clothes, everything had disappeared. It was like he had never been there. My house was empty and quiet again. The police checked security cameras, but they found nothing. No one had seen him leave. They asked me for his name, and I said, "Peter." They searched for a man named Peter Collins, but there was no record of anyone with that name or face. There were no fingerprints, no ID, no proof he had ever been in my house. It was a complete mystery. For many weeks after that night, I could not sleep. I was always scared. I felt like he could come back any time. Months passed. I moved to a new apartment and changed my phone number. I wanted a new, safe life. One evening, I came home and saw a key on my kitchen table. It was a house key. It was exactly like the key to my old house. How did it get there? Who put it on my table? My door was locked. My windows were closed. My mind began to race. He knew where I was. He had found me. I called the police quickly. They came and searched everywhere but found nothing. 2 years passed. The police tried to find the man for many months, but they never found him. The real Peter Collins, who had rented my room, was safe. He lived in another city and knew nothing about what had happened in my house. He did not know about the stranger. Sometimes I still saw him in my sleep. I knew he might come back one day, and if he did, I did not know what would happen. I was not sure if I could escape again. Maybe this time I would not be so lucky. I was still waiting for the stranger to come back. If you liked this story, please like, comment, share, and subscribe.